Girl with flowers.
In this video, you'll discover how to paint a girl with flowers in watercolor.
Watercolor illustration by Vladimir London. This is the artwork I will achieve by the end of this video lesson. This painting was exhibited at the International Watercolor Exhibition. Here it is, displayed on the wall among other pieces by watercolor artists from all over the world. In this video lesson, you will see how to make a multi-layer watercolor painting that attracts the attention of the viewers and grabs their interest. I begin this artwork by measuring the golden proportions for its composition. This golden mean caliper speeds up the proportion measurements. However, you don't have to use it because if you want to measure a golden ratio, you can simply multiply or divide a measurement by 1.62. Good drawing skills do not depend on tools, but on the knowledge and experience you have. Nevertheless, to speed up the process, I don't see anything wrong with using the tools you have. The composition will feature a girl who is holding a lily flower. This portrait is depicted in the 3/4 view. Behind the girl's head will be a circular, organic patterned design, and the rest of the background will also feature lilies, arranged along curved lines. If you'd like to have a good educational resource on how to draw portraits in the 3/4 view, you may want to check my book on this topic, which is available on Amazon. Just checking the color balance on this composition, I'm quickly adding blue color even though this is a disposable cartoon. The main purpose of this cartoon is to decide on the composition and to have the preparatory drawing in actual size that I can then use to transfer it onto watercolor paper. For this purpose, I outlined the design on the tracing paper, then flipped this paper over and repeated the whole drawing in thin 0.5 mm graphite pencil once again. This reverse side drawing is required to avoid mirroring the composition. Now, the drawing is ready to be transferred onto the clean sheet of watercolor paper. First, I will mark a composition frame. I do it in graphite pencil, using a ruler for straight lines. Now, the tracing paper with the design can be placed on top, and the drawing can be transferred, line by line, on the clean watercolor paper. This paper comes from Sanders Waterford, has 300 GSM weight, and is cold pressed. When the design is fully transferred, I can take the tracing paper off, carefully removing the masking tape with which it was affixed to the paper. There are several ways to stretch it, for example, by affixing it to the wooden board. But to illustrate to you another way, I will use wooden stretchers, the same tools that artists use for stretching canvas. I place the assembled stretchers on top of the paper and mark the four edges of this frame with a graphite pencil. I do these marks on the reverse side of the watercolor paper sheet. Now, I turn the sheet over, face side up, and apply clean water with a soft, flat brush, thoroughly wetting the entire surface of the paper without leaving any gaps. When this side is completely wet, I turn the paper over. Place it on the clean board face side down, and wet the reverse side as well. It will take about 10 to 15 minutes for the paper to soak up the water and expand in size. After that, while the paper is still wet, I carefully place the wooden stretchers, aligning them with the marks I have made previously, and staple the paper edges to the wooden planks, starting from the middle of the long side. Then I turn the entire wooden board, together with the stretchers and paper, so I can affix the opposite side, which I also begin stretching from the middle. It's very important not to move wet paper across the wooden board to avoid surface damage. When the two long sides are affixed in the middle, I rotate the stretchers with the paper 90 degrees and affix the short side in the middle as well. And carefully rotate the stretchers 180 degrees to staple the remaining short side in the middle. I staple the corners last to complete the stretching. When the paper is set, I turn it face side up and let it dry for several hours or overnight. Now, I have to make a decision about the blue color for the underpainting. Then mix a sufficient quantity of that paint and do a gradated wash. The paint I'm using is Windsor Blue, green shade, which is very transparent but also staining. So I must apply it carefully to avoid any accidental drops or brush marks on the white frame around this illustration, because it would be very challenging to remove this paint by washing it out. I'm applying this mix with a round, soft, synthetic brush, and after each band of paint, I add a bit of water into the mix. This way, the mix becomes slightly lighter with every row of brush strokes, which results in a slight gradient, darker at the top and lighter at the bottom. Hence the name of this painting method, gradated wash. I'm not using any masking fluid and will preserve white areas by carefully painting around them. Now I will do a plain wash, painting a circle behind the portrait in yellow. For this part, I have mixed Windsor Yellow, which is a semi-transparent and permanent pigment. You may see that, even though I'm using a small, round brush, the saw wash is a great way to intermix brush strokes on the paper because they are applied diagonally, but gravity pulls the paint straight down. So, it flows from one brush stroke to another, resulting in a very smooth wash.